Yeah, I mean stability is very important. Apa-apa yang kita buat, semuanya kita harus beri kepentingan terhadap stability.
Kalau tak ada foundation, semua akan
Goyang. Macam bangunan semua harus be stable. Kalau tak stable, earthquake nanti semua jatuh.
Tak payah quick, angin tiup tu jatuh.
Ya, sama seperti investment. That is the foundation of a good investment.
Hai semua, selamat datang ke The Kaya Raya Podcast, Singapore's first Islamic financial podcast. Di podcast ini kita bincangkan isu-isu kewangan macam pelaburan, persaraan, budgeting. Hari ini kita akan bincang tentang...
Hari ini Taisha, kita akan bincangkan tentang peluang pelaburan halal di peringkat global ataupun global investing opportunities. Dan hari ini kita mempunyai seorang tetamu.
Tapi sebelum tu kita lupa nak introduce diri sendiri. Saya Taisha Khan, ini adalah
Salihin Samsudin. Kami host anchor Kaya Raya Podcast. Dan dan hari ini kita mempunyai tetamu khas dari Maybank, Encik Zulkiflee. Encik Zulkiflee, apa khabar?
Baik, Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih.
Ya, Alhamdulillah. Okey, Encik Zulkiflee, sebelum kami masuk ke dalam perbincangan hari ini, boleh tak Encik Zulkiflee kongsi tentang latar belakang Encik Zulkiflee?
Terutama sekali, terima kasih for having me here. So, my name is Zulkiflee. Panggil Zul aja lah, senang simple. So, pengalaman saya dalam banking sudah melebihi 15 tahun di Singapore, working with several different banks lah, before Maybank. Most parts of kerjaya saya membabitkan penjagaan harta atau asset management of customer-customer selain daripada di Singapore, dan juga di serantau inilah, termasuk di Malaysia dan juga di customer-customer dari Indonesia. Jadi saya join Maybank baru dalam sekitar 4-5 bulan gitu sebagai Distribution and Channels Management Lead di bahagian Islamic Wealth Management Maybank. Maybank Singapore. Jadi tugas saya di sini adalah untuk membangunkan tim sebagai specialist, Islamic Wealth Specialist, untuk membantu customer-customer di Singapore dan juga di serantau ini sebagai advisors on Islamic Wealth Management products and solutions. We have certain goals and plans as Maybank because kita kelihatan ada growing demand in terms of Sharia compliant products and solutions lah from our ever-growing sophisticated Muslim clientele.
So kata pasal berbual pasal Maybank dan peranan Maybank di Singapura. Kita tahu Singapura ni dianggap sebagai sebuah pusat kewangan yang matang, kewangan yang stabil kan. Jadi apa yang menarik tentang pelaburan di Singapura?
Ya, saya setuju. Singapura sudah mencapai tahap developed markets. Kalau kita bandingkan dengan negara-negara jiran kita seperti di Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, negara-negara yang lain yang saya sebutkan tadi, mereka masih di tahap emerging atau pembangunan gitu ya. Jadi kalau seorang investor yang mau mencapai keuntungan yang lebih besar, naturally they will go for countries seperti di Indonesia atau Malaysia where there's a lot more peluang atau opportunities in terms of investment. Tapi untuk Singapore, saya berani kata masih ada banyak peluang untuk investment. Sebagai negara yang matang and developed, kita ada beberapa advantages seperti our governance, pemerintah, kerajaan, dan juga our infrastructure, especially dalam segi financial di Singapore. And we are moving towards...
because you say pasal kerajaan, pemerintah, how does that affect investing? So what about it?
Okay, it's important kerana regulation. I believe as an investor, you don't want to come into a country, you put your money there, and then suddenly the regulation change, and you cannot do anything with your money, your investment drop, you cannot sell your investments. So these are some of the things yang penting lah buat untuk seorang pelabur. Kepercayaan kepada kerajaan.
Sense of security lah.
Lagipun kalau kerajaan tu stable, macam tak habis-habis ada macam pemerintah. Kerajaan
Malaysia. Singapura pemerintah.
Government. Sama lah.
Sama lah. Kau tak baca surat khabar
Surat khabar okay.
Teruskan. But so kalau is like pemerintah dia stable, tak tukar or whatever, then also there's a effect on...
Betul, setuju.
So selain daripada isu governance, mungkin ada isu-isu lain atau faktor-faktor lain yang mungkin membuat Singapura ni menarik untuk melabur.
Okay, selain dari governance, kita punya negara-negara jiran atau customer-customer daripada negara jiran, mereka suka kepada Singapore dollar. Mata wang Singapura kalau banding dengan mata wang negara-negara jiran, kita adalah mata wang Asia yang paling antara mata wang yang kuat lah, yang stable. So the trust in our currency atau mata wang Singapura, kepercayaan kepada banking system adalah faktor-faktor yang daya penarikan investors dari luar negara ke Singapura.
Dan dari sudut pelaburan Islam pula, adakah Singapura sebuah market yang mungkin menarik untuk pelabur Islam? Kerana kalau dibandingkan dengan Malaysia, Indonesia, mereka punya Islamic market is far greater than us, and they have a whole Islamic banking system which is much more established than Singapore. Jadi apa yang mungkin boleh dapat menarik pelabur Islam untuk datang melabur kat Singapura?
Ya, saya setuju. Mungkin population atau populasi Islam di Singapura ini agak kecil. Tetapi jangan lupa kita dikelilingi oleh negara-negara jiran yang mempunyai populasi Islam yang antara paling besar di dunia.
Kalau tak salah, Indonesia has the largest Islamic population in the world.
That's right. So if I'm not wrong, based on the last data yang saya lihat, we are surrounded by kurang lebih dalam about 270 million Muslim surrounding Singapore, you see. And this brings us to the location of Singapore. So currently our location of Singapore is very strategic. So Singapore sometimes dianggap sebagai jambatan antara East, Timur dengan Barat. Because Singapore as a developed country, we are surrounded or dikelilingi emerging countries, and we have access to the global markets. Not just that, Singapore juga sebagai satu pusat pengurusan kewangan yang I would say popular. We have a good reputation as a wealth management hub. So that gives the interest from our surrounding neighbours.
Why do you say kita mempunyai reputation yang tinggi? What have we done so far? Bagi pendengar yang mungkin kurang fasih lah dalam industri ni.
Pasal kita punya financial infrastructure which is very strong and stable, our regulations. So Singapore's strategic business opportunities in terms of financial or wealth management have invited a lot of interest from overseas. That's why kalau kita lihat di Singapore sekarang ada banyak bank-bank or international financial institution that set up offices in Singapore just to get a market share of this opportunity. And in terms of our expertise, the reason why we are very successful because of our people. And we have a very good financial banking system that gives a lot of confidence atau kepercayaan pada customers around the region. With that, we can actually leverage on this expertise to grow the Islamic banking or Islamic wealth market in Singapore. Not just for Singapore, but for the region.
Sorry, boleh terangkan sikit what you mean by a good banking system? What does that mean? Macam...
Okay, a banking system in Singapore with a good governance. Kalau kita bandingkan Singapore dengan banking system overseas, our banking systems are very well regulated.
Pada saya lah, bila saya dengar macam banking system, one of the things macam Singapore yang saya tahu bagus, macam kita ada app. Bila-bila kita boleh masuk, kita boleh tengok. You know, like some ada negara, you nak kena pergi bank, you nak kena queue, bank cuma buka pukul 9 sampai pukul 5, habis orang tengah kerja. But here is very accessible. Is that part of the good banking system?
Yes, correct. And then the government is also kita punya pemerintah atau kerajaan. Sokong atau support fintech. So not just our banking, but we are also a center of excellence for our fintech in terms of our global reputation.
Anything else contributing to this good banking system?
The availability of investment opportunities, especially when we talk about wealth management. So Singapore has a diverse range of products and solutions. Daripada mass market to the high net worth individuals.
So tadi Encik Zul berbual pasal mata wang asing yang stable, yang mungkin menjadi faktor kenapa pelabur melabur di Singapura. Tapi adakah ia maksud bahawa pelaburan di Singapura ni fokus kepada kestabilan rather than pertumbuhan? Means stability rather than growing investments. So as compared to emerging markets, they are more focused on growth, right? Growth focused investment. Tapi Singapura is much more focused dalam stability instead. And is that something that you see?
Yeah, I mean stability is very important. Apa-apa yang kita buat, semuanya kita harus beri kepentingan terhadap stability.
Kalau tak ada foundation, semua akan
goyang. Macam bangunan semua harus be stable. Kalau tak stable, earthquake nanti semua jatuh.
Tak payah earthquake, angin tiup tu jatuh.
Ya, sama seperti investment. That is the foundation of a good investment. Then from there, kita boleh lihat opportunities. But most importantly, you diversify your investments and you allocate your investment accordingly lah. Not taking 100% risiko yang tinggi on all your money. right? You have to be smart enough untuk diversify and have a core portfolio, a core something which form the basis of your investments that you can actually depend on in good or bad markets.
Is there a hard and fast rule in terms of the punya percentage of pelaburan di Singapore and also pelaburan di luar negeri?
Kalau kita bilang hard and fast rule tak ada. Cuma we have to look at case to case on individu punya profil risiko. Kalau seseorang itu punya profil risiko yang agak agresif atau tinggi, then dia punya allocation towards more aggressive investment yang berisiko tinggi, naturally lebih besar lah. Tapi kalau untuk pelabur atau investor yang risikonya rendah atau more fokus dalam pemeliharaan wang atau capital preservation. Jadi kita harus meletakkan portion of stable investment like a fixed income atau bond yang lebih besar untuk dia total portfolio.
So sekarang ni kalau kita lihat di peringkat global, apa yang saya lihat lah, pelabur selalu sentiasa diorang kejar tema-tema pelaburan. Tema-tema yang mungkin akan berubah dari semasa ke semasa. Bagi pendapat Encik Zul, apakah mungkin tema-tema pelaburan yang mungkin popular yang mereka selalu kejar?
Okay, terus terang sekarang kita berada dalam situasi ekonomi yang agak unik. Dalam 2 tahun atau 3 tahun, kita facing with a lot of challenges, especially on rising interest rates atau kita bilang kadar faedah yang kenaikan yang tinggi dan juga rising inflation rate. Tapi untuk projection moving forward, interest rates atau kadar faedah sekarang sudah hampir very topish, agak tinggi. Jadi moving forward,
Never heard this word before. Yeah.
What do you mean by topish?
topish maksud saya dia dah kenaikannya agak tinggi dan upward trend itu agak limited.
Oh, ada ceiling lah.
Ada
kirakan.
ceiling, correct.
Okay.
So you don't know this word either. Habis kau macam faham topish. So that means that is dah hit the top lah. Dan
betul
lagi
lah.
sikit dah
Betul lah,
nak
dah
langgar
hit the
ceiling lah.
Saya makan ice cream ada topping gitu kan. Kat atas tu lah. So moving forward projection, I think okay, let's look at the US government. The reason why US Federal Reserve mereka gunakan monetary policy untuk menaikkan bunga untuk regulate the economy is to control the inflation rate. So at one stage kadar inflation atau rate of inflation agak tinggi, sekitar 6 hingga 7%. Tapi kebelakangan ini mereka sudah monitor the inflation rate dan kadar inflation agak turun lah sekarang di bawah 3%. Jadi mereka punya target about 2%. Jadi they are almost there. They are hitting their target. So we are expecting the Federal Reserve to cut rates this month, September, coming soon. They have a meeting. Jadi if once the interest rates cut, what we can see is that bond prices will start to appreciate. So let me just go back about 2 years ago when the Fed started to hike interest rates atau mereka mulakan naik kadar faedah bunga. So when that happens, right, the bond markets started to drop price because bond markets and interest rates mereka ada what we call it inverse relation.
Satu naik, satu turun. Kalau
Betul.
dia naik, dia turun macam gitu
Kita
lah.
macam nak melayukan ni tapi
Lain macam gitu, simple-simple je. Satu naik, yang kalau dia naik, dia kena turun.
kalau
gitu. Macam
interest
naik
rate
lift.
naik, bond markets, bond price turun. Gitulah. Tapi untuk masa yang akan datang, kalau interest rate mulai turun, bond markets akan mulai naik. Jadi itu adalah salah satu tema-tema yang boleh awak fokuskan for investments. Dan interestingly, ada banyak sukuk atau halal syariah compliant bonds that's available in the market. So this is something untuk pendengar-pendengar Muslim kita. Kalau mereka memerlukan atau ada niat nak invest atau melabur dalam syariah compliant, mereka boleh consider investment into syariah compliant bonds atau kita panggil itu sukuk.
Adakah ni ditawarkan di Maybank?
Ada juga. Kita ada beberapa ada beberapa produk di Maybank, especially on syariah compliant. Jadi kalau berminat boleh hubungi kita di Maybank.
Syariah compliant bond, is it sama dengan syariah
ETF
compliant?
lain. Okay, ETF itu kita bilang apa? Exchange Traded Fund. Okay, bond itu satu instrumen yang dia lain daripada saham. Dia instrumen untuk corporation yang memerlukan wang untuk for expansion of their business. For instance, for example, So what they do is they issue bonds in the market. Bond ini dia semacam pinjaman daripada retail or on the ground for investors. So when a company issue bonds, mereka issue these papers for the investors to take up the bond, and then usually bond mereka ada tempoh. Ada yang dalam 2 tahun, 5 tahun, 10 tahun, 20 tahun pun ada. So dan kalau bond itu contoh dalam Singapore konteks setiap bond itu nilai je 250,000 untuk satu bond. Jadi sebagai seorang investor, bond menjanjikan kupon yang tetap atau fix setiap tahun, dan pada waktu jatuh tempoh, pelabur akan mendapatkan pemulangan wang yang 250,000 itulah. Jadi contoh untuk 10 tahun, kupon dari bond 5% per tahun. Jadi setiap tahun dia pegang bond tu, dia akan dapat 5%, 5%, dan waktu jatuh tempoh mereka akan terima balik wang pokok atau capital.
Tu riba tak?
Bond ada dua cara. Yang satu conventional bond, yes, itu non-syariah compliant. But untuk sukuk, that is syariah compliant. So the structure is different. To summarize, I think currently the bond investments represent a very good opportunity. Alright, just because dia boleh mendapatkan pendapatan tetap, dan selain dari itu harga-harga bond untuk waktu sekarang ini agak rendah dan lebih menarik in terms of pulangan investasi atau pelaburan. Dan untuk waktu atau masa yang akan datang ini, sekiranya the Federal Reserve mulai turunkan kaedah bunga, potensi harga bond, peningkatan harga bond agak besar. Jadi you can actually expect what we call capital appreciation on your investment holdings.
And Maybank ada produk lah untuk syariah compliant bonds.
Ada.
Okey, kalau kita pulang balik kepada perbincangan kita tentang tema pelaburan. Di peringkat global ni mungkin ada trend-trend global yang mungkin pelabur ikut. Dari semasa ke semasa kita selalu mungkin exposed to the news. Macroeconomic news, apa yang happen kat Amerika, apa yang happen kat Eropah. Mungkin bagi pandangan Cik Zul, what is the significance of this, following this global trend?
Okay, now saya boleh katakan what's trending right now is the ESG atau ethical social governance. Sekarang trending, people are going for what we call renewable energy. Then they're looking at sustainability, ecosystem, and all that. So yes, this is trending right now. And I would say the ESG trend has been ongoing for the past maybe 5 to 10 years, almost a decade, and even more. I would say some of the investments under, especially like dari kefahaman saya lah, nowadays some of our global banks, mereka lebih memberi perhatian kepada investment yang mempunyai taraf rating ESG yang agak tinggi. ESG juga ada rating, AA, AAA. So, and this is something which they are offering to investors and to their customer for investments yang bertaraf tinggi in terms of ESG.
So macam mana tahap atau kadar ESG rating ni dikira?
Mereka ada their own calculation, their own system of determining the rating of ESG. Jadi ini bukan bidang expert saya, jadi saya tak dapat menjelaskan lebih lanjut lagi.
Tapi you can tell us that there's the trend lah. Pelabur sekarang melihat macam mana nak buat laburan yang lebih beretika, lebih menyayangi bumi lah gitu kan.
Betul, correct.
Kalau ikut berita makroekonomik pula, kita tahu Amerika sekarang ada pilihan raya kan untuk presiden. Kemudian mungkin ada peperangan di Ukraine, Russia, dan juga gelombang politik yang berada di Gaza sekarang. Sebagai pelabur runcit atau retail investor, sebagai orang-orang biasa kita ni, perlu ke kita ikut dengan secara intensif this berita, this macroeconomic news when you want to invest?
I think it's good to be aware kerana geopolitical issues that's going on around the world. Kalau yang macam awak sebut Salihin, tentang Russia-Ukraine war, I think all these penting lah, and boleh mendatangkan kesan untuk global investment. Tapi as an investor, we have to always keep our money invested.
What do you mean by keeping your money invested?
Because your money, if you're not invested, your money will depreciate because of inflation. As you know, inflation now sekarang
Jadi jangan simpan dalam bank je lah. Don't keep in just the bank account.
Boleh ada portion cash. Portion cash itu agak penting untuk emergency. Sekiranya apa-apa berlaku gitu kan. Jadi kita sebagai a rule of investment, kita seharusnya put aside sekurang-kurangnya 6 bulan of your expenses as a cash. Yang lain itu kita ada mungkin boleh membagikan antara short term, medium term or long term investments. Jadi balik kepada soalan awak Salin tentang geopolitical issues. Jadi sebagai seorang investor itu we need to be smart lah, and we need to constantly monitor atau kita bilang pantau your investment, and if necessary imbangkan atau rebalance your portfolio once in a while. Kalau if you see you ada exposure to a certain area that might have concerns, right? Then you should consider to reallocate your investment accordingly.
And how immediate kita must reallocate? When the news starts to happen ataupun is something that you need to foresee like 2 weeks in advance?
So kalau macam the news dah happen tu dah terlambat lah.
Because it will be too late, right? By the time you heard about the war, then you have your money parked in Russia, for example.
I mean, nothing is too late lah. Yeah. So don't worry about missing the boat and stuff like that. So as best kalau you ada seorang relationship manager that you're working with, do regular engagement dengan your relationship manager and ask him about for advice. Oh, I'm concerned, this is happening. Ada peperangan di sini, peperangan di sana. What should I do? Shall we relook our investments? Can we sit down and discuss on this? So I think that's one of the best advice I can give.
Not to be ruthless, but I remember from a previous episode also that we did that somebody was saying that when there's blood in the streets, then it's time to buy. So do you think that if you hear about this, then there's the time to buy in that country?
Yes and no, but we take calculated risks. You plan properly and you seek professional advice.
Okay, anyway, this is risk macam danger, bukan risk macam rezeki lain.
So in a way, kita nak kurangkan exposure kita lah secepat mungkin.
Ya, jangan dibiarkan lah. Apa-apa pun your investment jangan biarkan. Saya kenal ada banyak customer yang sometimes mereka terlalu sibuk. So at least spend a little bit of time, allocate a bit of time to monitor your investment, discuss your portfolio.
Tadi Encik Zul ada kata tentang relationship manager. So that is one of the benefits kalau you ada relationship manager to help you manage. Tapi kat majority in Singapore ni yang baru nak mula melabur, they don't have that access for relationship managers. They are starting to invest, they trade on global news. So for them,
Habis macam like amount kecil-kecil.
The amount is
like
much lesser.
I got 10,000 for example.
So for them in that case, are there any tips ataupun practical ways for them to better invest their money in?
Boleh juga. Not necessarily you are the relationship manager. Jadi sebagai seorang investor yang bilang tu sederhana lah. Maybank ada sekitar 18 branches all over Singapore. Jadi feel free to drop by any of our branches and talk to our officers. Financial advisors yang ada di cabang-cabang di Singapura boleh mendapatkan advice.
Even if macam the
amount
that I want to invest is small,
it doesn't matter.
How small?
How small is it?
How small is
every investment ada minimum requirement jugalah. For instance, kalau yang saya bilang tadi, kalau kita invest in bonds kan, itu 250,000. Mungkin
250,000 kan?
250,000 Singapore dollars. Tapi ada cara untuk invest dalam sukuk atau syariah compliant bonds. Itu menerusi, kita bilang itu unit trust atau dana reksadana. Kalau di Indo tu kita bilang reksadana lah, atau mutual funds. So instead of keluarkan satu kelepuk 250,000 tu seseorang investor atau pelabur itu boleh bermulakan investment mereka dengan hanya $1,000 aja.
Wow, that's very affordable, very attainable.
Mereka akan dapat access, still the same access into the global.
And Maybank, or I don't like, since you represent Maybank tak akan rasa macam kita buang masa diorang ke apa macam. Saya cuma ada like 5,000 nak invest, but you are willing to engage people like this.
Yes, itu tugas kita.
And just to clarify, servis ni percuma lah untuk orang-orang biasa. Yang siapa yang masuk ke dalam branch Maybank, diorang berbual dengan diorang yang advisor. Is this complimentary for all?
Yes, tak ada charge. Cuma setiap investment yang kita lakukan di Maybank mungkin ada fee from the investment. So that's the revenue lah, atau apa yang, kerana Maybank masih tetap have to make money. Maybank is still a business, So nothing actually is free, but for all investment, it comes with a small fee.
So kalau let's say macam, okay, saya dengar, saya faham lah Maybank ni business, jadi mesti ada fee. Tapi kalau saya ni singkit, saya tak nak bayar fee. Saya nak buat investment saya sendiri. Saya ada 1,000. Macam saya ada 2,000, 10,000. Kecil je lah. Tapi pasal saya tak nak rugi kan, saya berapa banyak je duit ni. So macam mana kalau saya nak buat investment pelaburan saya sendiri?
Seperti saya bilang tadi kan, Singapore we are developed in terms of fintech atau financial technology. So nowadays when we log, it's not just e-commerce atau online shopping. You beli baju ke, you beli groceries, everything is online now, right? And digital banking is also on the rise. So there's a lot of financial institution that offers online advice, right? In terms of they update you on the global markets, they give you regular market outlooks. You know, you can do your own research. It's all in your smartphone. So this is something which you can consider. And then you do what you call online banking.
Boleh ke saya macam masuk SGX, saya terus main nak buka account ke?
Boleh, but you have to go through some question atau berapa pertanyaan, soalan. Like I said earlier, Singapore is very regulated. So before seseorang itu nak memulakan pelaburan atau investment, seorang itu perlu, the government wants to make sure lah that you understand what you are doing. So the questions will be relevant to your understanding. So what you understand about investment, whether you have the relevant knowledge or experience to deal in investment products and services. So these are the relevant questions that will be asked in all the questionnaires. If you are deemed to not have the knowledge, then perhaps the platform will not allow you to proceed with investment.
So if you don't have the knowledge, kalau macam saya tak berapa faham lah macam mana nak buat pelaburan saya sendiri, the best option then is maybe to go to a bank.
To seek advice, that's the best option lah. Sometimes doing investment alone, yes, is cost effective. Betul, saya setuju. Tapi this is more suitable atau sesuai untuk seseorang itu yang lebih matang lah in terms of their investment knowledge.
Ataupun orang yang sanggup nak ambil ketahuan lah, ambil like belajar, like you go and teach yourself lah.
Yeah,
People
you can
willing
teach
to
yourself.
learn.
You can learn yourself. Alright, nowadays there's a lot of banyak-banyak course atau kursus-kursus yang mendidik, ya, pendidikan investment atau the markets and everything. Especially in Singapore, there's a lot as well. But if you just starting out and everything, I think the best advice I can give you is to seek advice from a professional.
Okay. What else is interesting? What else are people investing in around the world now? Something
How about
surprising maybe?
growth stocks, macam growth companies for example? Is that something macam kita tahu stock-stock yang popular, Tesla, Apple and all of these. Saya boleh katakan these are the go-to, right? Even for beginner investors, these are the first thing that they would rush to, right? To put their money in. Is that a wise decision ataupun mungkin boleh kongsi tentang perjalanan Encik Zul sendiri apabila Encik Zul nak mulakan your investment journey?
So, kalau kita nak bicarakan growth stocks atau startups, kita bilang tu that one typically is not available in the stock markets. I mean, when we talk about just small companies, startups lah because what's available dalam pusat saham-saham itu on the stock markets is a medium company and those larger companies lah that's listed in the markets. So there are still small caps, but these pose risiko yang agak tinggi. Kerana saya ada pengalaman dalam private banking, jadi selalunya lah kalau kita bilang itu startups, kita ada offerings in terms of private placement atau private equity we call it. So these are hanya available untuk investor or institutional investors or investors, individual investors yang sophisticated or accredited, for instance.
So in other words, potensi pulangannya tu tinggi tapi risikonya juga kita perlu.
Boleh kehilangan semua wang atau investment.
That's why you have to be accredited or
Correct.
because you can afford to lose it all.
Bagaimana pula dengan mungkin pilihan-pilihan yang popular seperti Tesla stock, Apple stock yang mungkin ramai pelabur akan kejar apabila diorang nak mulakan diorang punya investment journey?
Ada platform kasih as a free gift sama.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get probably 50% of Apple shares or something.
Yeah. One free Apple share.
Yeah, one free Apple share and so on. It's everywhere kan kat internet. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think this is something, if you are at the stage where you are some funds that you want to set aside for higher risk investments, this is something which you can consider. Boleh consider growth stocks, and especially right now since the pandemic, a lot kita dah lihat banyak e-commerce that has been booming, and a lot of tech stocks. Over the last 3-4 years, we've seen a boom in the tech industry. Nowadays, people don't go to office. People work from Zoom, Microsoft, Teams, online meetings. The traveling have also reduced. People can have meetings all around the world. I'm in Singapore. I can meet with a person in Indonesia and one person in Malaysia, and we can sit in the same room online. So this is the growing trend. This is something you can consider lah, boleh pertimbangkan and park it under your portfolio. Tapi just be mindful that such stocks also ada risiko yang tinggi.
Tapi dari sudut itu, saya pun nak ketengahkan bahawa bukan semua stok halal dan boleh dilabur. Kerana para pendengar kita pun kebanyakannya seorang Muslim. Dan ada pelaburan yang kita boleh taruh duit kita dan ada pelaburan yang mungkin dikatakan sebagai haram lah. Bagi Encik Zul pula, apa perbezaan antara kedua-dua ni? Dan macam mana seorang pelabur Muslim boleh handle isu ni?
Untuk saham-saham yang syariah compliant, kita ada proses of determining whether the stock atau the saham syariah compliant atau tidak. Dan tidak semestinya saham itu sekarang syariah compliant dan lagi 2 tahun suddenly the syariah compliant tidak lagi.
Boleh ditarik balik?
Boleh ditarik
Okay.
balik, betul. Ini sama macam restoran. Ya, penjualan makanan. Suddenly ada MUIS halal certificate example lah, ya. And then suddenly next month you datang balik restoran, suddenly dah tak ada certificate. So it's the same as saham. So and untuk saham-saham mereka ada a process whereby diorang determine whether the company they look at the company financials, the company punya activities, alright. Okay, under the principles of Sharia compliant or Islamic finance, we work based on 4 basic principles of Islamic finance. Yang pertama is prohibition of riba atau interest. Yang kedua, prohibition of forbidden industries. For example, like macam pork industries, macam gambling, casino, pornography, and stuff like that, etc. The next thing is prohibition of gharar or uncertainties. Alright, and lastly, prohibition of maisir atau gambling or speculation. So we look at all these components in a company and also the overall financial of the company before we determine whether this company is Sharia compliant or not.
So kalau kita nak balik ke perbincangan kita ya, tadi Encik Zul ada berkata tentang Encik Zul ada bandingkan emerging markets dan juga Singapore. Mungkin ada potensi besar dalam emerging markets. Mungkin dalam masa 2-3 tahun lagi kita akan dapat lihat pulangan yang agak besar kalau kita melabur di dalam emerging markets. Ya, apa pandangan Cik Zul tentang ini?
Ya, potensi untuk emerging markets agak besar, saya setuju, tapi risikonya juga agak besar in comparison dengan developed markets. Ya. Jadi untuk emerging markets, kalau kita lihat antara risiko-risiko pelaburan di emerging markets seperti di Malaysia atau di Indonesia, we also have to consider risiko currency atau mata wang. For example, kita pegang Singapore dollars, right? And then you want to invest into a property in Malaysia, dalam hartanah contohnya. Jadi we have to also pertimbangkan currency depreciation of the Malaysian ringgit against the Singapore dollars. And you also have to think about the regulatory bodies atau governance. Whether what's applicable, the tax laws in some of these countries, and then to maintain your investments or your property overseas, abroad, and then how long you plan to keep the property, your time horizon. You have to look at the rental income, for instance. So all these factors you have to pertimbangkan lah. Ya, betul-betul sebelum kita memulakan investasi. Dan ada cara juga untuk kita ada exposure to the regional markets melalui unit trust investments. For instance, some of these unit trust investments give you a diversified exposure into the Asia Pacific markets. Right? Itu lebih senang. Jadi by putting aside $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, whatever that you may have, you not only have someone taking care of your investments, which is the fund managers, but you also have access to the regions of that you plan to park your money lah.
Tapi ni pendapat yang agak praktikal. Apa pendapat you sendiri about emerging markets di ASEAN? Like your own personal opinion. Do you think it's exciting or do you think it's too risky or?
I mean, honestly, I'm invested in the emerging markets, Asia Pacific market, because I see a lot of potential. If you are willing to take risks, then you can consider, but don't put all your money in one basket lah. But then again, for unit trust investments, it's already diversified. Contoh, saya ada some portfolio into Asia Pacific markets. And then, but I have at least a medium term or jangka waktu yang lebih panjang. Jadi, if kita ada jangka waktu yang medium to panjang gitu, kita membolehkan volatility in the markets, short term volatility tidak akan memberi kesan lah untuk investment kita as a whole. Jadi kita tunggu waktu yang bagus, kalau nak liquidate, dah buat profit, ada keuntungan, ya terserah.
Dia macam yang orang cakap hodl Mas hodl the stock. The stonks.
So antara kebaikan melabur di luar negara, mungkin kita dapat akses dalam ke pasaran global, pasaran emerging markets, pasaran Eropah. Tapi sebaliknya kita perlu jaga dan uruskan risiko currency lah, mata wang asing. Bagi Encik Zul, how often kita kena take note of this risiko?
Ada berapa cara? Okay, in terms of kalau kita nak invest di luar negara. Salah satu cara iaitu kita invest directly into the offshore markets, for example. Seperti yang contoh yang saya berikan tadi, contoh yang pertama, kita membeli hartanah atau real estate in another country. Dan itu you are exposed to risiko currency atau mata wang dan sebagainya. Dan lagi satu cara, you invest, that means you buy ringgit and you invest in the Malaysian stock market. Itu ada lagi satu cara. Jadi yang itu juga kita harus pertimbangkan the currency valuation atau nilai currency, the FX risk kita bilang, risiko mata wang. Dan cara yang untuk mengatasi atau mitigate the risk, there's a few ways also. Antara cara yang ada iaitu currency hedging atau lindungi mata wang.
What is it? Currency hedging?
Currency hedging, what that means is that, okay, let's say Salihin, awak beli RM10,000, awak nak invest in a stock market in Malaysia. So sekarang exchange rate dalam maybe 3.3 against the Singapore dollars. What happens now is that, okay, you book your currency now, you buy ringgit and you invest in Malaysian stock market. But at the same time, you put a forward contract, you book the same rate to change back your ringgit to Singapore dollars. So you avoid any currency differentiation in terms of nilai mata wang yang akan merugikan lah dalam masa depan.
Tapi on that note, does it conflict with Islamic finance? Yeah, does it conflict with halal?
With Sharia law.
Yeah, with Sharia law. Because we're talking about
I also was
currency
thinking,
hedging,
oh
right?
my God.
Yeah.
Bagus lah Salihin.
Ya, pada masa waktu ini, currency hedging mungkin tidak patuhi Sharia compliant. Tapi di Maybank kita sedang working on some of the products. Selidik, betul. Research and work in progress, and insyaAllah we will be coming out with products that will make it Sharia compliant. Stay tuned.
Okay, tadi saya ada berbual tentang ESG. Adakah pelaburan ESG, mungkin ESG merupakan tema popular yang selalu pelabur kejar. Tapi adakah pulangan daripada pelaburan ESG ni lebih besar daripada non-ESG punya? Dan apa relevance untuk pelabur runcit?
Okay, ESG yang seperti yang saya bilang tadi, ESG sekarang waktu ini because it's trending. Jadi ESG tetap akan mendapat sokongan yang besar daripada pemerintah. Because pemerintah wants, now kita go through what we call global warming, environment issues and stuff like that. And pemerintah is encouraging companies to go for ESG, renewable energy, sustainability and so on and so forth. In terms of pulangan, kalau kita lihat kajian atau report from Morningstar dari tahun 2021, untuk the previous 10 years daripada tahun 2011 sampai 2021, pelaburan ESG kalau dibandingkan dengan the traditional investment, mereka punya performance dia outperform.
So it's not just more ethical, it also performs better.
There has been research lah yang shows that ESG funds perform better than conventional funds.
So taking care of the planet is also good for us.
Interestingly, for ESG investments, in terms of the rating, taraf ESG rating, the higher the rating investee actually perform better than the lower ratings of ESG investments.
All round good lah. Tapi kalau saya nak tanya, kalau ESG ni makin popular, does it mean macam conventional ones or like specifically oil and gas, are they tanking?
There's always a place. Some of these investments are very good. like oil and gas for instance, right? Oil will always be very important, penting untuk dunia. Although kita selalu dengar tentang renewable energy, ESG, all this to get away from oil, electric cars coming out. Tapi I would say there's still a lot of negara-negara yang emerging. And they require oil for urbanization and industrialization. And they will not change for the next maybe a few more decades.
But our reliance on oil and gas is going down as a whole.
That is the direction.
So from what I've been hearing, no matter mana lah you invest satu dunia pun, tetap ada risiko, tetap ada, what's the other thing? Risk and then? Rewards. Kepulangan. Ada risiko, ada kepulangan, no matter where in the world. And you just have to be aware lah, buat kajian sendiri. Kalau tak nak buat kajian sendiri, sila masuk dalam satu bank, tanya orang macam mana aku nak buat ni, macam mana.
But most importantly, if I may add, investment, you have to diversify your investment properly lah. And then invest based on your risk appetite. Don't take on high risk of investment if you have a lower risk appetite. And make sure that you monitor your investment regularly and seek advice from a professional. Syariah compliant juga kurang lebih sama seperti ESG in terms of the concept Syariah or halal investing.
Jadi selain daripada pelaburan konvensional, ada juga pelaburan Syariah compliant yang termasuk dalam pelaburan ESG gitu, macam ada kena-mengena. Dua-dua outperform. Ada potensi untuk outperform conventional, or like is good or better or seimbang lah. So if you care about not just making money but also like taking care of your spirituality, also taking care of the planet, you can consider ESG, Syariah compliant investing.
So terima kasihlah Encik Zul kerana sudi datang ke podcast hari ini. Saya rasa ada banyak
Kita bukan saya, awak je podcast kita.
Kami rasa ada banyak tips-tips yang baik dan juga insights yang kita dapat raih dari episod ini. Sehingga episod yang seterusnya. Assalamualaikum dan terima kasih.
Like, share and subscribe.